direction. Let's just talk a little bit more about that. So for me, strategy is visualizing where you're going to stand. So today we're here. In 1 year's time, I'm here. Describe that to me. What does it look like? What does it feel like? Who are the people that you're doing business with? If you don't have that you, we can't work out how to get there. You don't know the community that you need to put yourself in. You don't know those customers that we need to target. You don't know what they do with their spare time. If we don't know who they are and what they do with their spare time, we're never going to be able to communicate. So be very descriptive about where you want to go, what your direction is. Articulate it, write it down, create a vision board. Attach some goals to that vision board. Measurable goals that you can tick off in 1 year or in 3 years' time. And ideal customers. We need to give your customers a boundary. Who are they? They can't be anyone. So we need to progress from that. Yeah? Oh, let me have a look at this video. One more for you. And again, tell me at the end who the customers are.
Leaky faucet, creaky floor. We don't even own a bathroom door. The sofa set is nothing to be jealous of. We don't have a lot, but there's no shortage here for love. Whoa, whoa, oh, oh. All the pennies in the wishing wells, all the diamonds Tiffany's could sell, all the riches put together, all the sunny California weather could not make me love you any better. You could give me all that I request, and if you fancy, darling, be my guest. But I'll take less if more means having less of you. Who needs sequin shoes or private jets to Kathmandu? Oh, 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 oh. All the pennies in the wishing wells, all the diamonds Tiffany's could sell, all the riches put together, all the sunny California weather could not make me love you any better. I don't need your money, just your kisses and your funny faces, which I miss when you're oh, 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 oh. All the pennies in the wishing wells, all the diamonds Tiffany's could sell, all the riches put together, all the sunny California weather. All the pennies in the wishing wells, all the diamonds Tiffany's could sell, all the riches put together, all the sunny California weather could not make me love you any better.
So what type of business is it? Great. What's the position?
Fantasy.
So what's the business position? So it's a photography business, but what's the position in the market? To provide experience. Great. So to provide what sort of experience? Right. A supermodel pampering experience. Is that a bit different to all other portrait photographers? Yep. So are we positioned down here, or in the middle, or up the top? So the females in the room, would you choose to go to Super Eyes to have a portrait session? Looks pretty cool, doesn't it? So your positioning matters. Who are the ideal customers? Mothers. Do you think they're working mothers? Working at home. Yeah. It is, it's a full-time job. Interesting. Okay. Just going to finalise a bit on strategy, and the piece on business plan we'll pick up and have a little 5-minute break and stretch. Is shorter, it just pulls it all together. So, really important. One of the most important things, hopefully part of the 10% you'll remember from tonight, is being very clear and defining who your ideal customers are, and orientating everything that you do to promote your brand and what you do in your business to connect with those customers. That video would not be effective if it was a video about taking portraits of anyone. So she'd mixed a male into that video. Do you think it would have worked?
Depends what market. If it was the gay market, for example, it could work a storm, couldn't it?
And it would have worked if it was just the male.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it could have worked if it was a couple. But that was a very specific targeting. Yes.
It was kind of the husband was included because he would probably be fine as a gift for the wife.
Spot on. Yeah. Completely. Absolutely. And that video is available online. So do you think any husbands that are searching for a present, a portrait package, might be enticed to call and book it if they see that video? Yeah. It's all about the positive. So, when we talk about strategy, it's about really understanding these 3 components, how they apply to your business, and how you use them to breathe life into your business personality. Because your business is more than a logo. It has to be a sensory experience. I'm just going to cover this really quickly. This is something that is fundamental to any service business, particularly products as well. When we talk about our business model, it's how you're set up to do business. We always have a person that initiates a business, that gives birth to a business, that has a passion for something. That person draws in other employees, subcontractors, to work the same way. Based on values, you set up to target to work for customers. Notice I said you set up to target to work for customers, not that you work out what your products and services are first. It's really key that we work out if there's a demand in the market for what you're passionate about doing. Because you might be awesome at making hunting knives, but there might not be people that are passionate about using hunting knives, and you won't last long in business if you're not fueling your passion. So face your customers, target your customers, understand their needs. Their needs are going to change every 3 to 5 years, which means your business has to move with them. When they move to the right, you move to the right. You choose not to if you don't like where they're moving. When they move to the left, you move to the left. So the positioning that you choose is going to evolve. And you've got to be prepared to evolve with the marketplace. Understand the needs, provide products and services that meet the needs, and you don't have to look at the bank account every day, as long as the demand's there. So when you pick a niche, that niche needs to be able to support you to sustain your business operation. And if you're really great in that niche, your business will become known by your customers, your suppliers, and the community that you operate in. And your employees are going to love to be associated with you. Yeah? Well done. So, all that adds up together. Knowing that, so knowing your business position, knowing your direction, knowing your ideal customers, allows you to then determine how you use your resources, your time, your energy, your people, to achieve your goals. We're going to have a quick 5-minute break, and then we're going to talk about the key problems that we see in businesses because they don't get this right. Yeah? See you in 5 minutes. One of the problems that I see,
Thanks.
and this is definitely across creative businesses, but it's pretty much general. So a robust business plan, what does that mean? That means if you've got this right, so if you know your business position, why you do what you do, you can explain how you do it so your customer can feel their way through it and go, that's for me. And that relates to what you do. So whatever your niche is in terms of products and services, you can articulate your business direction, which is where you're going, and who your ideal customers are. The business plan, which doesn't have to be a 30-page document, is really action-oriented to strengthen those 3 things. So, if your business position is to sit here in the marketplace, so you're one of 5 people creating incredible logos for rock stars, then your business action plan has to support that. And it's more than just doing the work. So we're going to talk about some of the common problems that we see that distract you from being able to strengthen those 3 components. Here's a list. You'll typically see this if you Google or in most online books. This is what your business plan in theory should take into account. And really, your industry analysis is covered if you know what your business position is, because it's where you position in the industry. Your customer analysis is covered here. Who are you doing business with? Who can pay? Who wants what you're doing? And is there enough demand? Your competitor analysis, business position. Marketing plan, that's about how you promote someone in business. Promotion's key. We're not very good at promoting. We're good at doing. We're not good at promoting. And that's where really your referral sources are so handy to promote and give credibility to you in your niche.
Your operational plan, we'll talk about that in terms of processes and financials. People, we'll talk a bit about that in a minute too. And financial, that's an outcome. So we don't spend too much time on financials unless you haven't got your business position right and there's not enough demand in the marketplace to create a pipeline of work. So if you don't have visibility of work further than 6 weeks out, then it means we probably, 1, haven't got your business position right, or 2, you need another ideal customer segment because there's not enough demand in the one segment that you've chosen. And it's quite plausible that any business can have somewhere between 1 to 5 ideal customer segments. Now if you're going for 5, that's 5 spaces you've got to master. So you need to make sure you've got the people, because if you're a one-man band, all you're going to be doing is working. So have a think about that. Let's talk about some of the issues. So I'm a big believer that if you can actually understand this, why you do what you do, so what the passion is and why you get up every day, if you understand that, then your issues as they arise are pretty easy to solve. We just need to stand back from it and have a look at it without being too emotional. So let's identify the problems, yeah? These are the common problems we see. This one I love, and this is probably going to get some discussion going in the room. Brand. So what's a brand mean to you guys? And girls?
How do your customers see you?
How your customers see you, exactly. And so how do they see you? What does a brand represent?
Personality.
Personality.
The experience.
Identity, experience, spot on. So it's not just a logo, right? Yeah? So what else is it other than your logo? If it's your personality and your experience, what is your brand? How you behave? How you do business, I heard, yeah? Your perception, your values. So isn't it how you do what you do? Isn't it how you carry yourself every day? How you talk on the phone? How you email? How you actually present a concept to a customer so they get excited? How you ask them to pay the bill when they're 2 weeks late? Isn't it every part of your end-to-end process? Isn't it every touch point? Yep, it is. So you've got to be really clear on how you do business to get this brand stuff right. The logo is about 5% of it. Your website is probably 10% of it. What's the other 90%? People! Who said that? Awesome. Would you like to pick something? That's a pretty big answer for a group of designers when we're talking about brand. Come pick one. They're yummy. Awesome. So brand comes back to what's your business purpose. So if your business purpose is to create the best kitchen knife every time you make a knife and you spend 15 hours on that knife, How do we articulate that in a brand? Yeah, say that again. So be the best you can be and be better than everyone else. How do you promote that? Because it's not visible in that knife. Right, tell the story. It was visible in the video. If no one's written down, make a video, write it down now. And capture why you do what you do and how you do it. Video maker up here. Okay, so it's really, really simple, but there are so many brands and so many creatives that talk all about what they do. Their websites are full of what they do. Their business cards tell you what they do. No one tells you why or how. Is anyone cringing? I've got all your websites. So that's a key take home. So you can definitely upgrade your business position in the next few weeks by just adding some personality to the way you convey how you do business. So position on your why and your how, and appeal to people, because it's people that are making decisions to buy from you. And we've got two parts of the brain. We've got the neocortex at the front, which has all our sensory receptors. Most of them are visual. We've got a part of the brain called the limbic brain. It's actually the limbic brain we make decisions with. So our receptors pass the message to the limbic brain, and we make a decision in a split second based on gut feel. Often we undo that decision, so we go over and over and over and over and over at the front of our brain. We rationalise, we analyse, we rationalise, we analyse, and we undo the decision of the limbic brain. If you can appeal to your ideal customers by articulating, by giving life to why you do what you do and how you do it, they will have made a decision before most of them even speak to you. If you can capture that and project it on your website, if your customers can refer you, you've just got to do business with this person. They sit in this space. They're perfect for you. They're who you need to work with. They will have made a decision to purchase from you before they talk to you. Literally in the first 3 seconds, they'll go, "You're the one. I knew it before I came." So that's your challenge as designers. Bring your brands to life. Another quick video, last one I promise, but this one's a beautiful one because it's about graphic designers.
Around 1988, I was actually going to school and I bought a Macintosh Plus computer so that I could write papers. But I discovered along the way that the Mac was the first computer where you can actually draw on a computer and set type on a computer. And I fell in love with it. It reawakened the illustrating, design passion that I had. And so I threw myself into the computer, loved the technology, actually read all the manuals, and just learned everything I could about computers at that time.
He does read all the manuals.
And then about 1990, Nancy joined me, and she started doing sales and marketing. She literally just picked up the phone and made some calls and landed 3 big jobs really quickly. And so then she became convinced that, hey, maybe there's something to this, and the rest is history. One of the things that for us that's really worked is being able to appreciate each other's strengths and understanding each other's weaknesses.
Yeah, I mean, we don't, our marriage doesn't impact the employees at all because we get along, we really like each other, we've been doing this for a really long time, so it actually isn't really a factor here. But people always want to ask, that's one of the first things people always ask, and we actually get a lot of questions about what it is that makes our marriage work, and I do think it's because we are completely different, and we have we use the disc profile here, and that's when we started to realize how different we were. And I think it was from that point forward was when we really started to value how different we are and really consider that precious. And so that's carried through culturally in the organization, where everyone here really values each other and become best friends in spite of how different we all are.
Well, I think the first thing for me is that Nancy and I care about the people. And I realize that people are coming to Duarte and they're working 40 plus hours a week. They're here a majority of their life, and you might as well enjoy it. So why wouldn't you want to make this place fun? Why wouldn't you want to make this place worth being around? So
I think because in our marriage we value each other's differences. I think that is what it's kind of pushed through the culture there. And we do have really strong values, and I know a lot of companies just give lip service to their values, but we live it. We live it. We tell stories around our values. We really do live the values here, and it's a really, really tough place to get into. I think we screen out anybody who is arrogant. I think our culture kind of forms antibodies against arrogant prima donnas. It's really, you have to be willing to take one for the team, or you really don't fit in here. And so when you have that as a screening, as part of the screening process, that you're not going to let people in that won't work for the team, it really creates a very special culture. It's really more than a culture, it's a community. We started as generalists. We were like, our website was like, we do website and print and all this, and we actually buried the fact that we did presentations because we were kind of embarrassed. Like, there was no design firm that did this, and nobody else had it up there, so we were kind of embarrassed by it. And then the .com boom happened. Our web and print were growing like crazy, even though presentations were still the bulk of our business. And the .com crash happened, and sure enough, all that print and web went away. The phone didn't ring, and it kept ringing for our presentation work. And at the same time, Jim Collins' Good to Great came out, and it said, if you can be best in the world at one thing and passionate about that one thing, do just that one thing. So we decided to just kind of put shutters on everything else and focus solely on presentations. And you look at this reviled media, or what used to be reviled, and people are starting to see its power, and a lot of that has to do because of this industry that we plowed through and actually changed. We changed the perception of it to the point that it's actually an admired media for writers and designers to pursue. For some reason, there's this really big gap between when a presenter gets on the stage or a storyteller gets on the stage. Suddenly a presenter gets all like goofy, they're not human, they don't connect to the audience. And I really wanted to figure out why. Because I really fell in love. We made a full big commitment to presentations when we decided to make it our niche. So there's this really visible gap between marginal presenters and the really, really great presenters. And so I dove in and spent 2 years just studying story, cinema, literature, and how do we apply some of these principles to presentations. And in this long process, I discovered this form, this structure that the greatest communicators have used over time, but nobody had ever seen before. And it's just steeped in story and in contrast and in that tension and release that happens that makes really good communications riveting. So it was really fun to do that, and it completely kind of reshaped the shop. And now we're actually writing and producing and putting words in the mouths of some of the greatest communicators today, and it's just a thrill.
So one of the things that has helped us stay in business so long is our recognition of the fact that we've needed to reinvent ourselves multiple times. After discovering some interesting information, analyzing the business over the past 20 years or more, we've discovered about every 5 years we've had to reinvent ourselves. And we've gone from the first phase of being freelancers, and then we called ourselves a design firm, and then, or actually it was
Service bureau.
service bureau, and then we were a design firm, and then we wanted to be best in class. We wanted to be the best at producing presentations, and we wanted to be the best in the world at it. And now we've shifted into the adding of content and helping our clients tell their story, and not just display it visually, but tell it as well.
So we did have a goal of being really good at presentations and being known for presentations. And then that kind of morphed into, you know what, we're really kind of best at taking complex information and making it understandable. So people weren't so much coming to us for, hey, do these slides anymore. They were like, help me with this conversation. Help me with a movement. Like, how exciting is that to be, help me draw a graphic on the board so I could sell my $1 billion idea. So it really has become a lot more about persuading and transforming audiences. And so our future here at Duarte, our next reinvention, we want to reimagine what communication even is. We want to reimagine the whole presentation space, and it's very exciting.
Well, what we're finding is a lot of people are coming to Duarte for the academy. We hold workshops that teach our methodologies for creating great presentations or developing your content. We have different workshops. We have the Slideology workshops, Resonate workshops, and we have a 2-day visual story workshop. And what we're finding is that the people that are coming are being transformed in their ability to communicate their story. And they're learning how to craft their story, they're learning how to visually display their story, and they're learning how to tell that story. And it's been exciting because we're seeing people from all walks of life in the business world.
All industries.
And all
too.
industries, from all countries, and they're coming, and it's just a blast to see them come and be enlightened and then leave transformed. It's just an amazing opportunity for people.
Mark actually started it in 1988. Go ahead and tell.
Yeah. You cracked me up.
Okay. Here we go. How'd we start? Okay, here's how we started.
No, we didn't start there. We were close to starting there.
So
too detailed. They can't
when-
help us. Don't go, Katie. Don't go.
Grace, Miss
Sorry.
Margaret. Thanks, Ben.
You know that answer really well.
So what's the secret?
What is the secret, Nancy?
I don't know. My secret is that I have
What's
to
your
burp.
secret? That was good.
To help put the words in very compelling people's mouths, and that sounded really stupid. So,
Okay.
What's the
Next
trick?
one is, what's the trick for staying in business so long?
Well, I think the trick for staying in business for so long is living long. So,
and so he's my rudder, and we haven't gone aground yet, but
she's my steam. And so
that's
together we
what's-
make a good team.
and that's what's kept us in business for so long. Like I said, we could have soup or not have soup for hours.
Someone is saying, anybody want a peanut?
Yeah.
I mean it. Anybody want a peanut?
Yeah,
I need to watch that again. That was a good clip.
that was good. Way to go.
That kind of could build on his
Like that.
reimagine,
That's a good
reinvention
clip.
thing. I like that. I like you. Should I pull
Get
his?
Steve in here.
Really change the world, and this is a big part of the solution. Whatever.
Oh well, it just comes and goes.
I know.
I've got to be right there and catch it, or it's gone.
Whoop!
Don't even go there.
It's a Sasquatch.
Okay.
We're finding a lot of people coming to Duarte.
I was like, whoa.
Okay.
Let me just sit back. Okay.
It's funny. I can see how they like when they do movies and stuff, and they have the outtakes, and they like start. That's fun. I always thought that was the funnest
I
part.
know,
of
it
the whole
makes
thing.
it feel like acting's a real job.
It is. Mhm. Okay. Stuff there
No,
in the
no, just
front.
start from the top. Just start. At Duarte, we realize a lot of you do such a good job. People come. People are
Okay,
very interested in our
You just
training
have to calm
program.
down. Just, and I can do this, but jeez. So that means I'm really good. Wow. Okay.
He touched my boob.
No, that was your arm.
He knows the difference.
Yeah. Okay. And I'm supposed to be serious now? Come on.
Okay, go ahead. Go ahead.
Strike that from the record.
Yeah, not funny.
Yeah.
See?
See?
I want you to change this one word. Can we go back and do that again?
Sorry. Okay.
Okay. Are we good? We're done?
We're done.
Oh, man.
Heard of Duarte? Duarte.com. When I finished uni and I went to school with his owner Mark, his brother Michael, who now presents all over the world communication workshops. They started the year I finished uni. They're now one of the biggest design communication companies in the US. They do all the major presentations for most of the Silicon Valley. They did Al Gore's and Inconvenient Truth. They're amazing as a company in the creative space of inspiration. Out of curiosity, does anyone know anyone in Perth that specialises in presentation? Yes? No? Yes? Fantastic. So it's a beautiful niche. Maybe we won't direct everyone to that website. Oh, sorry. Great. Thank you. What's their business position? Top shelf. So, to get to where they are today, do you think they had to do a few jobs for experience? Yeah. Do you think that meant that they had to choose to do some jobs that weren't really their thing once they decided on what their niche was? Yeah. Do you think that when they did those few jobs for experience, they collected a story about those jobs so they could use that to sell themselves into the next job? Yeah. Do you think that's a great action plan if you're trying to create a niche? Yeah. Spot on. Okay, so pick your niche. Be attractive and promote yourself and get people that love what you do to promote you, online and offline, through stills, through videos, through social media, depending on who your target market is and where you're going to find them. Ideal customers. Who do you market to? When I ask this question of most business owners, they can't tell me who their ideal customers are. So when we describe ideal customers, I want to know, are they male, female? Are they 0 to 5, 5 to 15, 15 to 25, 25 to 35, 35 to 45, 45 to 55, or 55 plus? Are they single? Are they married? What do they do for a job? Where do they live? How do they travel?
What are their interests? Where do they spend their spare time? Do they have kids? Knowing these things allow us to understand how we can connect with them. If they have kids that play sport or go to school, it could be through a sporting organisation, it could be through the school newsletter. If they ride the train, if they ride the bus, it could be through advertising on public transport. If they travel, if they're FIFO, it could be in one of the aeroplane magazines, it could be in the Mining Chronicle. You need to know who your customers are, and it needs to be very descriptive. So profile your customers. We need to know demographics, demographics, interests and hobbies. We need to know what they need from you. What are their pain points? What issues do they have that your product or service is going to solve? So Duarte identified people giving presentations, terrible PowerPoint presentations, and not good at talking. So they grabbed the PowerPoint, they mastered how to tell a story, and they're teaching people how to then tell that story themselves. So make sure you're not marketing to the world. Pick a person, identify that person, and write a profile. The profile could look like this. Claudia, the shoe shopper. Claudia's mid-30s, loves shoes. I think we missed out lives there, sorry that's me. She lives and works in a career role that allows her to be creative with her footwear. She's always looking for something different that no one else has. She spends a lot of time researching fashion and trends online. She loves the idea of owning her own shoes. She loves custom made for major events. She's happy to buy a new pair of shoes or two every season. Her collection rivals Imelda Marcos's. She feels good about expressing herself personally through her shoes, and she happily shares her new purchases and asks for thoughts, favourable, from friends online. That could be the profile for this business. Has anybody seen this website? Yeah. So when we talk about ideal customers, I would expect you can articulate who they are, just like that previous slide, and I would expect you can show me pictures of what they look like. And it's that profile that you need to talk to tell stories to connect with when you're promoting your business, when you're growing your brand, when you're trying to establish your niche. Sorry guys, this isn't your website. Does that make sense? Has anybody ever seen an ideal customer profile like that? Yeah, great. Sometimes we're really good at writing those profiles for our own clients, but we actually don't spend the time doing it for ourselves. Yeah. So make sure you speak their lingo too. One of the biggest issues I see with creative businesses is that when you pitch for work, you use your own lingo. And it can be quirky and it can be creative, but it's not the lingo your ideal customer uses. So make sure you use their language. Creative's great when you're working to a brief. They've asked you for an idea And you need to pitch so that they completely get it. Don't try and sell your personality in your pitch and use confusing language. So there's a few examples that I can share just verbally. So recently, one of my clients ran a marketing tender. This happens all the time. And a lot of the submissions that we see are unbelievably creative. They're fantastic. The responses are quite interesting when you actually read through them. And the language is obviously office talk. And there's a number of websites, and I'm sure you're probably all aware of a few, that actually have lingo and language and chatter on the websites. It just makes no sense to the general population in Perth. And pretty much no sense to the ideal customer market either. So be very careful about how creative you are with your own brand. Use lingo that actually allows you to connect with your customers. So if your brand is about fairies, don't speak in fairy language. If your brand is about dogs, don't use headers or subheaders that are about barking and woofing and running along the beach. It just doesn't work. Yeah? Make sure your graphics are appropriate too. So if you've got a brand that has a dog, hopefully no one's got a dog as an emblem. Don't use that dog all over your pitch if it's not appropriate. Because the person you're pitching to could hate dogs. Okay, so connect and have a conversation. And improve the strength of the connections. So make sure when you're connecting with your ideal customers and you're using language that resonates with them, that you're actually having a continual conversation. So looking after your client base isn't just sending an email when you've not got work. It's keeping them up to date with what's happening in the office at least once a quarter. They're going to be interested in if they love what you do and how you do it. So avail yourself. Once you start a conversation, continue the conversation. It's a never-ending relationship. Yeah? Job role. So this can work for anyone, business owners and employees. When we talk about job roles, we talk about the things that you do on a daily, weekly basis, the things that you should be doing that allow you to have a perspective on a quarterly or an annual basis, and the things you definitely should be doing, like strategy, that allow you to have a perspective on the next 1 to 3 years. Guess where everyone spends their time? Here? Yep. Pretty much never in this space. You have to get out of the daily stuff. You've got to spend some time on looking at what you're doing this year and where you're going in the next 1 to 3 years. And really it shouldn't be just the business owner that does that. If you're working in a team, the team's got to pull in the same direction. When was the last time you all had a strategy day? Tonight? So make that a to-do, especially at the start of the financial year. Make sure in your daily work that you're actually playing to your strengths. So those business owners that are still doing their accounts, you need a bookkeeper. There's business owners that don't chase their invoice payments and have invoice payments that are 1 day late, you need a bookkeeper. Yeah? Make sure you have a look at that process end to end and chunk the work. Make sure you're doing what you need to do to fuel your passion. There are people that love bookkeeping. There are people that love talking on the phone, and you don't have to employ people full time. There is an abundance of talent at the moment available for part-time work. If you write the right job ad, you can employ somebody for 5 hours a week, for 10 hours a week, for 15 hours a week. I recently ran a job ad for a client coordinator and got 69 applications, and most of those were from highly qualified people wanting 15 hours of work a week. I just had a client that's run the same job ad for her business. It's a creative business. In 2 weeks, she had 78 applications for a job that's 10 hours a week. And she's just employed somebody that worked at 303 Low, which is a pretty big coup. Great talent for 10 hours a week. So think about how you distribute your work. There's definitely talent out there. You've got to write the right job ad using your why and your how to attract the right talent. Chunk the work, give it to the right person. And it's going to improve your performance, I promise you. If you have the right person, then your performance is going to be upgraded and it'll give you the financial reward. Cash flow. Who has cash flow issues? Yep. It's a pretty normal thing. It's a normal thing when you're actually in a space where you're changing or you're evolving, where you haven't really been sure of your business position. One of the crucial things that you have to know is what your break even is each month. So what do you need at a minimum to pay the bills? That's all the bills. So what are your total expenses each month? Does everyone know that? Yep, great. The next thing is you need to have that in the bank. Minimum 1 month, ideally 3 months. In this economy, things can change like that. Most of us will be out of business if we don't have at least 1 month of cash to cover total expenses. If you don't have a visibility of work more than 6 weeks, you definitely need a buffer. So work on that. That should be part of your action plan. Invoice up front. Who has shivers when I say that? It's not scary. So in the US, you don't get anything done unless you pay up front. Anything under $2,500 you cannot get done unless you pay up front. Who does an invoice up front? Okay, the first step is you have to invoice at least 50%. And that has to be paid before you start work, which means you just have to be organised. And it means that you need somebody that loves collecting money every week. And when that payment's not in your bank 1 day after it was due, that person that loves collecting money calls. The definition of harassment is 6 times in a week. So they can make 6 calls in the loveliest way. Adhering to your values. And it works, guys. It really does. Invoice up front. The first step is at least 50% before you start work. And ideally, depending on whether the work goes over a month If you can finish the project within a month, then it's 50% before you release the work. So if it's print or web, the website doesn't go live until they've made the final payment. They don't get the print collateral until they've made the final payment. If the project's bigger than a month, then have progress payments. Make sure you tell them when the next payment's due. One invoice, not multiple invoices for progress payments. One invoice with the progress payments listed, and you remind them when that payment's due. Give them a week's notice that the payment's due next Monday. Just be methodical. It's really easy, and the cash will be in the bank. And if it's not your thing, employ someone that loves it. There's plenty of people there out in the marketplace that love it. You've got to collect your outstandings every week. Pick a day that's your financial focus day in the business and make sure you collect. Lovely email. A gentle reminder, we haven't received your payment on this invoice. Can you please let us know when that will be coming? One email, next week, phone call. Dun Bradstreet is great for debt collection. Hopefully you don't have to get to that. There are other debt collectors too. If you have to get to debt collection, they're not ideal customers. It's a pure and simple sign that you shouldn't be doing business with them. And I would actively say, no thank you, we're not working with you anymore. As soon as you say no, a nice customer will come in. There's room for someone to come in. Don't be scared to say no. Just don't say no to everyone next week. You've got to make sure you've got more inflows than outflows. Okay, so the receivables and the invoicing is so incredibly important. That fixes most business issues within a couple of months. Processes. How do you work with people? We talked about the touch points in your processes. Make sure that you explain to people that you work with how the process feels. It needs to be more than this is step 1, this is step 2, this is step 3. Use the emotional impact and be a bit creative about it. Make sure you outline the process for them right at the beginning so that they know what they're walking into and they can feel what it's going to feel like.
That's it. All right. An interesting one.